In the cold silence of a frozen bus stop, the air felt heavy with unspoken sorrow. Snow gathered along the edges of the pavement, and each breath turned into a small cloud of white, disappearing as quickly as it formed. People stood close yet distant, wrapped in coats and their own worries, eyes fixed on the road as if answers might appear with the next set of headlights. Among them was a woman whose quiet tears froze on her lashes, her pain hidden but unmistakable. She wasn't crying loudly. There were no dramatic sobs, only the kind of grief that sits silently in the chest, growing heavier with every passing minute. The cold seemed to mirror her heart, numb and exhausted. No one asked her what was wrong, no one dared to intrude. In places like this, strangers often pretend not to see each other's pain. Then, in a voice small yet clear, came words no one expected. A little girl stepped forward, her cheeks red from the cold, her eyes wide with concern. She looked up at the woman and said, softly but sincerely, "Please don't cry, Mom. You can borrow my dad." Time seemed to pause. The noise of traffic faded and even the wind felt quieter. In that single sentence, the child offered something pure, comfort without conditions, kindness without understanding the full weight of the pain. It wasn't a solution, but it was hope. It was warmth. The woman knelt, tears now flowing freely, not from despair but from being seen. In that frozen place, a child's innocent compassion transformed quiet suffering into an unforgettable reminder. Sometimes, the smallest hearts carry the greatest healing. "You can borrow my dad" wasn't just a child's kindness. It was a moment that carried far more weight than the simple words suggested. Spoken without hesitation or fear, the sentence came from a place untouched by pride, judgment, or calculation. The little girl didn't know the woman's story. She didn't need to. All she saw was someone hurting, and in her world, the most valuable thing she had to offer was love and protection. To a child, a father represents safety, warmth, and strength. By offering her dad, she was offering comfort in its purest form, someone to stand beside you when life feels too heavy, someone who makes the world feel less frightening. It was an instinctive act of empathy, unfiltered and honest, the kind that adults often forget as they grow older. The words landed deeply, cutting through layers of exhaustion and sorrow. They reminded everyone within earshot that hope doesn't always arrive in grand gestures or carefully chosen speeches. Sometimes it comes wrapped in innocence, spoken softly by a voice that doesn't yet know how cruel the world can be. In that moment, hearts shifted. Strangers looked up from the ground, the cold felt less sharp. The woman's pain didn't vanish, but it changed, transformed by the realization that even in her darkest moment, she wasn't invisible. That simple sentence became a powerful reminder. The purest hearts often hold the greatest light, and hope can appear when we least expect it, through the courage of a child who only knew how to care. In a place defined by cold and hardship, where the wind cut through coats and the snow lay thick on the pavement, life felt heavy and unyielding. People hurried past one another, eyes lowered, each lost in their own struggles. The bitter chill seemed to seep into hearts as well as bones, leaving a sense of isolation that was almost tangible. It was a setting where compassion often felt too slow, too small, and yet it was exactly here that the human spirit revealed its quiet strength. Amidst the frozen silence, a little girl noticed the woman standing alone, her eyes glistening with tears. Without hesitation, the girl stepped forward and said, "You can borrow my dad." What could have been a fleeting, almost forgotten moment turned into a profound act of empathy. In her innocence, the child didn't weigh the complexity of the woman's pain or the impossibility of her offer. She simply saw suffering and responded with care. That small gesture created warmth, far beyond the literal cold. The woman's face softened, her tears slowly giving way to a fragile smile. Strangers who had been lost in their own worlds paused and looked on, reminded that even in the harshest conditions, human connection can pierce through despair. It was a moment that proved that empathy doesn't need grandeur to make an impact. Sometimes, its simplest expressions carry the heaviest meaning. In that brief encounter, the world seemed to hold its breath, and for a fleeting moment the bitter wind and icy streets were replaced with the gentle glow of kindness. Humanity, in all its complexity and struggle, still shines brightest in its simplest forms. A child's innocent words reminded everyone present that no matter how harsh life gets, warmth and hope can always be shared, even in the smallest acts.